Prabhuji, you can start with the pranam mantras maybe.
Yes, so welcome you all for reading Prabhupāda-līlāmṛta. We are reading Volume 2, Chapter 56.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Namo Vishnupada
Recording.
Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta
I'm not keeping
Swami.
recording. I don't know how to and where to record. I'm just streaming
Record.
live.
Okay.
Okay.
Shall I start, Mataji?
Recording in progress.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Now it should turn on.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so welcome you all once again. We are reading Śrīla Prabhupāda-līlāmṛta, Volume 2, Chapter 56. Namo Vishnupādaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Krishna Das also got a chance to shave Prabhupada's head. Not many of the devotees in those days wore the Vaishnava shikha and the tuft of hair at the back of the head. Prabhupada had very little hair, but he did have a shikha about 3 inches in diameter at the back of his head. Thinking that only the disciples wore the shikha, Krishnadas shaved off Prabhupada's shikha, but Prabhupada only mentioned it mildly. "Oh, you have cut off my shikha." On another occasion, while shaving Prabhupada's head, Krishnadas cut him, but Prabhupada did not notice it. He was chanting the whole while. But when Upendra came in and saw a bit of blood on Prabhupada's head, he exclaimed. Prabhupada said, What? And put his hand on his head. "Oh, you have cut me," said Prabhupada, but that was all he said. Upendra later told Krishnadas that he had committed a great offense. That evening, Krishnadas went to Prabhupada and mentioned the cut. "There is no difficulty," said Prabhupada. "You are just a little young yet. Young don't have a steady hand." There is a saying in India that a mother teaches her daughter-in-law by teaching her daughter. In other words, the mother will most readily give corrective instruction to her own daughter, but the instruction will apply equally to the less accessible daughter-in-law. Similarly, Prabhupada gave many instructions not only during the lectures but in daily dealings with his servants, such as Upendra. Any exchanges with the Acharya are themselves teaching both by percept and example, and the whole world can benefit from hearing them. With Upendra, Prabhupada's instructions were often in response to Upendra's mistakes. Upendra followed Prabhupada everywhere. Once they were talking downstairs on the way to the temple, and Upendra walking behind called out to Prabhupada to get his attention. Prabhupada turned around on the stairs, raised his cane and said, "I told you never to call from behind." On the way back from the temple, Upendra was supposed to carry Prabhupada's Srimad Bhagavatam, eyeglasses and kartals. One evening, Upendra got sidetracked talking with a guest, and when he returned to the house, Prabhupada was waiting for him. Govinda Dasi warned Upendra that Prabhupada was angry at having to walk back to the house alone. Uttering apologies, Upendra entered his room. Prabhupada said, "Whenever you are to do something, you do it nicely. Do not be irresponsible." One day Upendra was looking for Prabhupada within the apartment, and he went into Govinda Dasi's room to ask her where Prabhupada was. As Upendra left, Govinda Dasi's room, he met Prabhupada coming down the hall. Later, Prabhupada called him and told, "You are brahmachari. You should not be in the same room alone with Govinda Dasi or any girl. Do not do like that in the future." When Govinda Dasi had to go to the doctor, Upendra, although having no experience, whimsically volunteered to take dictation from Prabhupada as Prabhupada answered his letters. Prabhupada began to dictate quickly, and Upendra immediately ran into trouble trying to write down his words. At the end of the letter, Prabhupada asked him to reread it, but Upendra could not read his own handwriting because it had been scribbled with such speed. Prabhupada looked at him incredulously, saying, "Why do you do such thing like that? You cannot read your own handwriting?" Upendra attempted to read but could not, and Prabhupada had to fill in the whole letter again, while Upendra wrote in words that he had missed or could not read. One of Upendra's regular duties was to crush up rock sugar candy, which Prabhupada took in water as medicine. One evening, while Prabhupada watched him, Upendra put the crushed sugar candy in the water and mixed it by pouring the water from one glass to another. Somehow a glass slipped from his hand, and in trying to catch it, he splashed it all over his head, face, and the front of his body. Prabhupada looked at him and simply said, "Go wash." "No, no," Upendra protested. Let me finish making medicine for you." As he continued his work, the sugar water thickened, leaving his hands, face, and arms sticky as the sugar hardened and crystallized. Prabhupada said nothing, but watched and accepted the service of his foolish but sincere disciple. Perhaps certain activities cannot be called instructions, they are simply Leela. Upendra. At the Villard Street apartment, Prabhupada would sometimes go out on the back porch. It was very small and wasn't meant for walking, just for going down the back stairs 2 levels. But the people in the apartment below us had a little Pekingese dog that would bark at anyone who would come out above. The dog would run up the stairs to the next platform below and yelp away with a shrill bark. Prabhupada would go out and stand on the little porch, inciting the dog's barking, and then ignore the dog. Then all of a sudden he would turn to the dog, raise his hands, and make a scary face. The Pekingese would become very frightened and would whimper and run down the stairs, while Prabhupada would laugh. He did this a number of times like a young boy. Here ends 56th chapter of volume 2 of Prabhupāda-līlāmṛta.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Just give me some minutes. Let's stop this thing and we can continue with the next chapter.
Okay.
Recording stopped.